Welcome into Sports Idiot Nation. On this Wednesday, we will give you some trivia on college football and basketball. We'll also explain how to fix college football because IU obviously just wrecked it. And we'll give Miles his 16 minutes of fame, 1 minute for each win this year.
Sports, comedy, pop culture, and everything in between. By idiots, for idiots.
You see that beautiful face right there? My daughter kept pointing to it tonight saying, Popeye, Popeye. That's right. Who's your daddy?
This is Sports Idiot Nation.
Sports, comedy, pop culture, and everything in between. Welcome back, sinners. This is Season 2 of Sports Idiot Nation.
Welcome into Sports Idiot Nation, and we have Googled many times. I think you need to just leave that up for the remainder of the show. That's more attractive than the alternative.
Can you hear me? Here,
yeah. Just leave that. Just leave it on. It's good to definitely sell more shirts.
I have a lifetime supply of beer now. I have a lifetime supply of beer.
Oh, yeah. If Miles had his IU hat on with his shirt with Signetti's face over it, that'd be perfect.
Oh my
It's a young Monopoly man.
Yeah. So, man, Miles, first let me ask you, how nervous did that false start? Like, his name for life was going to be Twitch. Like, if something didn't go right, because let's break it down. So those of you that don't remember, because you haven't had this rammed down your throat for the last 24 hours, but dig in. So in the fourth quarter, IU's trying to go up by 2 scores, and so they're marching, and someone in the huddle has to say, all right, guys, don't jump now. We're going to win. We're going to go for a touchdown. Someone, right, out of the 11, you would think. And so Bozo the Clown, false start, and it's like they're 1 yard away from a first down and possibly a victory. And so you move back 5 yards, and you don't think a false start is that big a deal. Oh, no. Let's talk to Miles right now. How big a deal was that?
Well, they weren't going in to score a touchdown there. At 2nd and 1, you pick up a first down there. Miami had one
maybe
timeout
run the
left.
clock out.
And they would have kneeled it out.
Yeah.
That's exactly that. The game would have been closer. So I think he knew, it's like, now what's going to happen? I'm a false start. We're going to get a few more points. Not cover the spread, but just separate a little more. I trust my defense. No, not at all. And that's so funny coming from Carter Smith, who was our most trustworthy. I mean, you have Coogan and everything, but Carter Smith's supposedly the most NFL-ready offensive lineman. And the only thing I could hope from this, being now the ever optimist, because we're a national champion now, is a lot of NFL coaches, staffs, scouts see this and like, oh, I can't touch him now. Yes, please don't want him so he can come back for 1 more year because he's only a redshirt junior. That pissed me off. And I am in every chat imaginable. You have no idea how many IU chats I'm in. I can 4 off the top of my head that I can think of that I'm in, mostly all film related or intern related. So guys that were a part of the program, we didn't just go to IU, we were a part of the program and totally embedded it as I won 14 games in my 4 years combined there. Yeah, we won 2 more than that this year. When that moment happened, I looked at my father-in-law.
In 1 year, you won.
My father-in-law, who does not speak a lick of American and does not understand American football, I looked at him and said in English, that might have just cost us the national title. And I just gave him the thumbs down. Mal. Okay, he understands. He did a good job. He picked up. I forced him to watch the Oregon IU game on replay right before to explain football Americana to him. And he picked up quick. I put the subtitles on YouTube, the default Portuguese, and he did a pretty good job. So we actually enjoyed that game together. That happened, and I didn't really explain penalties because that gets down into the weeds, just trying to explain the basics. So I had to text him out what truly happened and basically came with that puta murder, that mother effer, will not be allowed back in Bloomington if we lose this game. And there was a chance. Now, I did have confidence. If we can fast forward, I thought that was the greatest roughing the passer in college football history. If that was the potentially dumbest false start in history, that could have cost us, because it's 2nd and 1, we would have picked up the first down. But now we're set back 2nd and 6. Of course, we're going to run the ball. I disagree with 3rd down call, whatever, neither here nor there now. But Miami gets the ball back with 1:50 instead of 12 seconds.
And one timeout, I think it was.
Well, they lost their timeout because we decided to run the ball on 3rd down. That's why I said I disagree. Like, we're going to run the ball. They called their last time out, but in college, because of course you pick up the first downs, the clock stops temporarily. So I'm like, no, just throw the ball. Who cares if they have 1 or 0 timeouts left with how the college rules are with first down? You've been picking up 4th downs in clutch situations. Obviously, we all remember. I'm sure we'll talk about it here in a bit. But risk it on 3rd and 5. What's the difference? You have a higher chance of a great reward than, hey, a risk, incomplete pass. Okay, they get the ball back with $1.50, 1 timeout or no timeouts. In college ball, who cares? I would have gambled, which kind of goes against everything I said before this was, we need to play more conservative, get at field goal games. Whatever. Situational football, we get how it goes. And we'll talk about the timeouts and how I lost my mind. But ultimately, Sig is just Sig, and he makes the right choices. So in any case, after that, Carter Smith, you are that close from never being allowed back in Bloomington, to Landino with the greatest roughing the passer of all time. And I have it on good authority from one Urban Meyer, who was there and had the opportunity to talk with Carson Beck after. Carson Beck admitted, like, after that hit on that roughing the passer, it would have been 3rd and 15. Said they get the first down, bang, bang, like, okay, I can see in this modern age, you throw the flag, get it. I'm just pissed because they should have been throwing roughing the passer calls all game, didn't. But the fact of the matter is that effed Carson Beck up. And he made some great throws, some clutch throws on that last drive. But I had in the back of my head, I was like, it's Carson Beck. He is way overdue. And I just felt, even though they were moving down the field, I was like, Carson Beck's going to screw this up. He's going to screw this up. And when he dropped back and I saw that safety drop to that side, he didn't look him off. And that was supposed to be the decoy route, mind you. And I knew that Sharp, Miami native, mind you, was dropping on that well too. And then as soon as he released the ball, because you guys know I'm a film guy, I knew where that was going. Johnny Dell could tell you that in a second too. That wasn't going to the sideline. That was going to the numbers. Before I could see him, because they're not getting the all 22 shots, the ESPN, the broadcast shot, I was like, that ball's picked. That ball's picked. We're national champions. I was up in the air with my fists in the air, knowing what was about to happen. And sure enough, I mean, it was center field for Sharp. He picked that, and that was history, baby. So, yeah, there were a lot of times during this game I was pissing my pants the second half. And the fact of the matter is Miami caused a lot of disruption in the second half. We kicked their ass in the first half. We completely controlled it because they played too conservative, and we asserted our will. But the fact of the matter is when you're only up 10.5 and you're playing essentially a road game, I get the fan base is what it is, but you're still on their turf. We got a lot of football left, and Miami's a damn good football team. I think we played a B- game, and Miami caused that. But damn, between the Carter Smith false start that almost cost us a national title, we could have run the clock out had he not done that, and we would have got that first down. Mendoza missed a couple opportunities. Omar Cooper, God, he was open all night. But you hardly know if you're just watching the normal broadcast because you don't see him on the field running those open patterns. And it's just like, man, so many opportunities, but it's still IU. And IU all year was inevitable. No matter what, we are winning this national title game. We found a way, and it's the Cincinnati way.
Yeah, so we think of Thanos.
Miles, my only question is, when they scored a touchdown, did your father-in-law say, "Goal"?
No, but Miami, they'd understand that. No, he mutually doesn't like Miami because remember, he's Brazilian. And who does Miami FC have? Of course, the greatest Argentine of all time in Messi. So no boom on the Miami. But no, he touchdown. And it was so funny. So yesterday we were out, I'm cleaning up my old house still. I still have for a little bit. And we went into Chili's with our boys and daughter and wives and whatnot. And he walks in and just out of nowhere goes, Fernando Mendoza. Like,
Did you guys get a reservation?
my boy.
Yeah, that's
We
what I
did
want to know.
not. We did not.
Well, the
It's
dice,
tonight's
TI,
what
roll the dice.
no, yeah, it was. So understand here in Texas, it's Texas Roadhouse Tuesdays. So we were strategic about it. We went to a Chili's afternoon Tuesday, not too bad. Now, if it were tonight's a Wednesday night, it would get very, very busy. So
Yeah,
we are
very
all right.
busy.
You know, you got to get those Presidente margaritas when you go to Chili's, but you got to make sure you get there early because it gets busy.
Yeah. And we did. We scouted it out before we knew what we were doing. Not our first rodeo. Won't be our last either.
Yeah. So we mentioned the snap and Thanos, and got me thinking of Avengers and everything, and the scene, just thinking of Kurt Signetti and all of the other IU coaches that have come before him, or think of just all of these coaches. Like, this gives me hope, for example, for UCLA. Like, why can't we in 3 years win? Or and you think
because you fired the coach that you should have kept, Chip Kelly. You had your chance.
And dial it back a little bit. Dial it back a little bit.
Hey,
Adam.
Come on now. Tony Stark made this suit in a cave with a couple of scraps. And then the guy's haircut is perfectly cut. I don't think he's actually bald, but that actor, they asked him to shave his head into a cul-de-sac, because if you look at that scene, that guy's hair is a full head of hair on this side and this side, and then it's naked here. There's no way that was real. He had way too much hair. But the scientist, he says, well, I'm not Kurt Signetti.
I'm sorry, sir. I'm not Kurt Signetti.
I
That's
can't
so
build
perfect.
this.
And I love that. And I thought of that before. Other people did end up making a meme, but I said that weeks before. And this was when Florida State was tanking. I was like, this is Mike Norvell right here. This nerdy little, and he had the Bama win to start the year. So I was like, oh, Florida State, and they may be popping back. But no, the nerdy scientist was Norvell at Florida State getting yelled at. You're Florida State. We have history here. Why, Kurt Signetti took these scraps from JMU and Cal and everywhere else, even the miscreants leftovers from Tom Allen at IU, and is building a national title team. And yet at Florida State or at Clemson or hell, even Penn State, you want to say, despite some recent success, they can't get it done. But Kurt Signetti, little Kurt Signetti, at Indiana says, who's your Popeye? Who's your daddy?
Who can be drunk forever.
Got it done. Yes, because he now has a lifetime supply for free from Upland Brewery.
You were talking about that Florida State opening game against Alabama, and I thought about that game not too long ago, and I realized what happened there. That was the only game Gus Malzahn cared about. He was just like, I'm going to beat the shit out of Alabama. And then the rest of the season just
mailed it in.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
He picked the right one too. I mean, obviously being a Auburn guy is like, yeah, I'm going to blow my entire load for the 2025 season on Bama. And it worked out. And for a hot minute, we're like, oh, Florida State, they're a playoff team.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely not.
We did. We thought about it. We talked about it for a few weeks. And they were like, oh, wait, Florida State remembered who they were. Yeah.
Remember who you are, Simba. So let's go back in time a little bit, and I want to find out. We'll start with TI. I have a list here to help you out. We have James Madison 12-1. Navy was 9-2. Utah was 10-2. Vanderbilt 10-2. BYU 11-2. Notre Dame 10-2, Texas A&M, Ole Miss, and Oregon all 11-1. We're talking regular season. Did any team jump out to you as far as when we started the year and how the year ended up? Because we're kind of putting a bow on college football 2025, 2026.
I mean, I think that's obvious of that stack. It's Vanderbilt. I mean, nobody pictured them being even in a conversation to be in a college playoff, much less kind of getting hosed, even though they proved that they probably would have failed anyway because they turned around and lost, to Iowa. But I mean,
Big Ten, it means more.
Yeah. It was funny though, because what did Diego say? Like, oh, all you got to do is score 10 points to beat Iowa, and it's like, well, maybe you should have scored more than 10 points because you lost. But yeah, out of that whole bunch,
You lost the first, gunner.
I mean, people expect Notre Dame, people expect Texas, people expect Ole Miss. I mean, James Madison, whatever. I mean, good for them, People expect Oregon, all those teams, but I mean, yeah, I guess of that bunch, James Madison and Vanderbilt stand out the most. Vanderbilt just because of the conference they play and the talent they play against each week. James Madison doesn't really see that each week, but hey, man, they still had a great season, so I'm not going to take it from them. They made the playoffs, other teams didn't. So, but yeah, Vanderbilt, hands down, stands out the most to me. Great season. Came up short. They needed that Alabama win. Like we said, that pretty much was going to hinder that was going to tell the tale for the rest of the season for Vanderbilt. They beat Bama, and they just couldn't get it done in the end. They hung with them, but up until late in the fourth. But got to close them out, man. You got to close them out if you really want to take that next step.
Yeah. I'll say the teams like Utah and BYU, like every year that they do what they do, it's not, you're like, okay, ho hum. Kind of like Gonzaga in basketball. BYU and like Utah, teams like that, they're the Gonzaga of basketball where they're like pretty good, but when it comes to like real grown men football, they always lose. So it's like, okay, they didn't jump out. Michigan having a down year, going 9-3. It's like, okay, we'll see. Then the debacle, but they're going to be good though because we all agree their coach now is good. So as we jump to 2026,
from Utah, mind you, as you brought up Utah, that's where they're getting it from, and it's going to be Utah East. We had JMU West win a national title. We got Utah East. We'll see what they do.
So 2026 now, thinking ahead, then Miles, who jumps out to you, thinking ahead now?
So jumps out, and there's a couple ways I want to answer this. So don't mind me while I do. The Big Ten is going to be absolutely loaded. We have got, I mean,
they already are.
I'm going to interrupt myself. Hold up. This will prove how loaded. Oh, there's a little pussy over there. This is how good the Big Ten's going to be. Looking at preseason, of course, with the portal and NIL and everything, you never know what the hell's going to happen. And honestly, it makes it kind of fun. Obviously, I'm biased now. My team came out of absolutely nowhere to win a national title. I love the state of college football. That's clear. Fine. Put that to the side for a moment. But as a true college football sicko, I'm not on the level of Bryce. We get that. But I still love the sport very much. Outside of Indiana, I still love what's to come next year. Look at Ohio State's schedule next year to prove how good the Big Ten's going to be or expected to be. So obviously you're at Texas. That's the one team in the SEC that's a problem. Beyond that, Georgia should be okay. If Trinidad doesn't win his lawsuit, which he might because the NCAA has a terrible track record, Ole Miss, Bama, LSU, we'll see with Lane. I expect him to be decent. And Vanderbilt, because Clark Lee is that dude, they'll be good. They have to rebuild, but they'll still win 7-8 games. But they're not going to be a national title contender, barring something drastic. I don't know. We'll see. But the SEC beyond Texas, I don't expect much. Then you look at the rest of their schedule. They're at Indiana. Have fun with that. You are at USC. Have fun with that. You have Oregon at home. You have USC as well on the road. And then you throw in at Nebraska. It doesn't make it any more fun. Like, their schedule is going to be unbelievable. You have a game like against Illinois, who, mind you, has won 19 games over the last 2 years. And that's probably their 8th hardest game. Oh, yeah. On top of that, they're at Iowa, too. I forgot about that one. They're going to be at Iowa. Iowa at home, fine. But at Kinnick, good luck with that one. IU survived that game this year. So Ohio State, on paper, to me, one of the best offenses maybe ever next year. They could lose 3 games, losing so many pieces. Like, they're going to buy their defense. I get that. But, like, that Big Ten is going to be balls deep next year. Indiana, we could finish 4th in the Big Ten and still make the playoff. So
That's nuts.
that's something I'm looking forward to. Again, that should pretty much give you what I see being the top 5. I think Oregon with Dante Moore doing the right thing coming back
Yeah.
should be the best team. Ohio State will be up there. Yes, I'll give you Texas. And I am a fan of Arch Manning. I think he's a very, very good quarterback. All this pressure. He's a Manning. Everyone expected him to be the greatest thing ever. It was too much for him. By the end of the year, he started to catch his rhythm. And I think that will carry over to this next year. Indiana, as long as Sig's the head coach, we're going to be in the conversation.
Yeah.
Now, let's divorce ourselves from the top 5, the true national title contenders. I will say Michigan was a team that I was looking at before everything came out, and that tragic situation. Truly, I call it tragic. I had Michigan as a preseason top 5 team. Whittingham, he's awesome, but this is going to be really tough, even tougher than what Sig did at IU. So we will see with that. I don't know. USC is another one I'm going to keep my eye on. But what I really love to see, if there's going to be IU part 2 and even a part 3, I want to see what Texas Tech does, because they took that major step forward with NIL. They were like IU of last year, looked like they didn't belong in the playoff. But now with all that oil money, now it's year 2 for them. And then the other program that's in year 1 of the IU rebuild is Oklahoma State. You get the head coach from North Texas, had a lot of success. He goes to OK State, a terrible team for the last 2 years. OK State has history, of course, but the last 2 years they've been garbage. Now he comes and brings his entire team with him, a team that won, I believe, 12 games. I believe they were 12-2 after the bowl game. They're going to win some football games up there in the Big 12. So Tech and Oklahoma State, both in the Big 12, very much looking forward to see how they pan out this year. Texas Tech, I expect to make the playoff. I expect them to win the Big 12 again and be a true title contender this year. Oklahoma State, they might be sneaky.
And then you have the blue bloods of Alabama, Georgia. We'll see what they do. They'll be probably in the conversation. Auburn hopefully takes a step forward, right? Of course, TI hopes for that.
I mean, they lost their best player. Cam Coleman transferred. So I mean, he didn't see eye to eye with the new coach. They already lost their 5-star QB. He didn't see eye to eye. Well, obviously it's because he's bringing his quarterback from South Florida with him. Which outside of the Memphis game, I didn't really watch South Florida, so I don't know really how good he is, to be honest. Maybe you guys have a little more insight, but I don't have a whole lot of faith.
First half of the year, he was good and played well against the SEC team, but we'll see. He should get better. He should be.
I don't
better.
have a lot of faith in a first year coach with a lot of players leaving. Maybe next year, or maybe 2 years. But we'll see. I think it's the SEC is Texas is to lose. I mean, I think they're going to be the premier team.
Right.
Like Miles said, Arch Manning really got it together, was playing great, had confidence. His players were responding well. They're still not done. I mean, they could see somebody land there in the transfer portal. They could get another top wideout. I mean, you never know the way college football is these days.
It's a $30 million team. That Texas team is absolutely loaded this year. They're going to be way better than they were this last year. For Texas, short of a national title next year is a failure. Not just SEC title. Absolutely. National title or bust for Texas this next year.
And yeah, you mentioned Georgia. As long as they have Kirby Smart, they're always in the mix. Alabama, I still don't believe in DeBoer. Still don't believe in him. So
they'll be top 15 at the November-ish and see if they keep winning.
Here's what I want to see happen once Mike Shanahan gets a head coaching job and leaves IU. Kalen DeBoer gets fired at Bama, and then he can return to IU and be our offensive coordinator. I will be just fine with that.
Yeah, stranger things have happened. So, I mean, Mike McDaniel last night just decided to go call plays with John Harbaugh in the NFL. So, who knows what's going to happen in college?
That was pretty shocking. I thought for sure he was going to side with Saleh, but he did not. I wonder why. Part of me thinks it's because the Titans passed on him as the head coach, and he was kind of like, well, you didn't think I was good enough to be here. I'm not going to demote myself into, even though we're buddies with Saleh. I don't know. That's what I think's going on there.
wants to coach at a playoff team where he can take that step back, be there with the Chargers 1, maybe 2 years,
then
and
go back and
have a quarterback that's already established. Not like, hey, I got to build up this young QB and be with a 3-win team as an offensive coordinator. No way. I'm going to a playoff team if I'm going to be a coordinator.
Yeah,
For sure. I agree.
So jumping back to college, here's one thing that I want to see what you guys think. I think we have to fix the Kiffin thing. Like in general, we have to figure out a way. We've talked about college being the wild, wild west. How much longer is it going to be the wild, wild west? I want something so crazy to happen. That way it can shock the system and someone say, all right, red flag, hold on. We're throwing in the towel on this. It can't be the Wild West. Look at so-and-so, whatever that so-and-so is. I thought it could have been a Lane Kiffin thing, but I don't know what else can happen that will shock the system so much that people are like, uh-oh, guys, college football is going to be ruined if we're not careful. So far, that hasn't happened, but just with Lane Kiffin, you talk about in the transfer portal and the idea of when you can talk to coaches. I don't like it in the NFL either. For example, Robert Saleh is gearing up for one of the biggest games of his life, a chance to go back to the Super Bowl. And what is he doing on a Wednesday? Interviewing with the Arizona Cardinals, a team that he had no chance of going to. There was no way he was going to coach them. And it's you're gearing up for the Seattle Seahawks, and on a random Wednesday before the game, you're meeting with Arizona. I don't like how the NFL does it either. I get it's nature of the beast, but in college football, it is beyond bad. Miles, what have you thought this through? Is there a solution that makes sense to you?
Yeah, I do, but we say it's so bad, and yet college football is at its peak right now. We are seeing new dynasties open. I get it. That's easy for me to say. We just won the title, but the way that we were stuck before any of this with the portal, with NIL, was the same teams over and over and over again, and it was losing traction. Viewership was down, and I heard something after the Miami Ole Miss game, viewership was low. Yeah, it's late at night. It's out west. Two teams from the SEC and ACC, and not blue bloods too. So that does take a little bit of a hit, but Indiana, who's a nobody, is setting all sorts of records. The playoff overall is actually going to end up having many, many records set, not to mention the ticket price of the national title game. So as long as the NCAA is making money hand over fist, they're not going to be pushing for it. And quite frankly, the coaches aren't pushing for it too much either, because what were they looking at changing the rules for was the red shirt from 4 games up into 9 games played, and then you'd be eligible for a red shirt. They're not looking to push back when the portal opens. I disagree with that. I think there's 2 really quick fixes, and if you want to get real in depth, go watch Joel Klatt, who I think does a fantastic job, not just pointing out the issues, but he has the solutions for them. And every time I hear a solution, I was like, yep, that'll work. But people have to buy into that. But 2 things I think is very simple. The NIL is going to be the NIL. You have money or you don't. Is what it is. I don't think that's the end of the world.
Well, because you have Mark Cuban.
Well, no, I don't mean for us, but there's a lot of other schools that have a lot of money too. It doesn't just take one guy. If you are a major institution, you have plenty of millionaires. Every school has plenty of millionaires. And I'm talking as the Power Four. Every single one of them has a millionaire. If they choose to invest, you just got to give the pitch. You got to give the Shark Tank pitch, as T.I. posted earlier today on Sports Idiot Nation. The biggest thing that I want to see change is when the portal comes open during the play, because that's the whole reason Lane Kiffin. And I'm not worried about the coaches, because the NFL will be it's the top level. They're businessmen. Right. That's what it comes down to is that. So you're not going to change when you're going to start interviewing people, because they have to get it going before. You're an adult. You can interview for your job and still prep for a championship game or playoff game or whatever it might be. You can handle that. Get paid so many millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. What I want to see change is when the portal opens during the playoff, that's the only reason Lane Kiffin left early. And part of the coaches had to go, like Charlie Weiss Jr. et al., going back and forth. And that did throw off the tempo for Ole Miss. I credit Ole Miss how well they handled that. It was unbelievable.
Billion
A tip
percent.
the cap. And I really do hope Trinidad gets an extra year eligibility because he deserves that. Neither here nor there. We can talk about that later. But they need to push it back till the end of the title game. Tough titty. If you want to get rid of that gap, guess what? Start the playoff the week after the conference championship games.
Yeah.
Move the playoff up. Don't give these teams a month off. Move it up to the week after. You can still have the bowl games. Guess what? The bowl games actually are starting to pick up traction again. Thank you, Pop-Tarts. But move it up to the week after. If December 5th, whatever that first Saturday in December is, conference championship game, play the first round of the playoffs that Saturday after. And then the week after, play your quarterfinal games. And then the week after the national championship should be early January. And you open up the portal right then. And I get like, well, you have to keep the prestige of the Rose Bowl and the Sugar Bowl and Fiesta and Orange on January 1. No, you don't. No, you don't. No one gives a shit. They just want to see that game. They don't care that it's on New Year's Day.
Yeah.
You can move it. People adjust. We've adjusted to NIL and the portal. We can adjust to
so
when.
much.
We can move New Year's Day up. Hell, the entire country can adapt to December 15th being New Year's and then Christmas still December 25th. I make a joke, but that's kind of my point. You understand is we just care about the prestige of the game, not the actual date of it. The other thing that needs to change with the portal is we need to get back to kind of where it was before all this, but really mixing in and having a compromise with what they're doing now. You should get one freebie. Now, there should be exceptions to it. Like if your coach leaves, you should be able to transfer wherever, play right away, or injury or family emergency, you know, the I don't know what the term is, but like the traumatic situation, extenuating circumstances on it.
Your microphone's going through a traumatic situation because every 8 seconds you are beating the crap out of it.
Yeah, it deserves it. So you should have one freebie. You can transfer one time and you can play immediately. Any transfer after that, you have to sit out a year. So I think that's a good compromise with the old rule, barring extenuating circumstances, including a coach just leaving. You can give eligibility immediately after that. But if you put that forth, you won't see kids every single year hitting the portal.
Yeah. I think it could be broken here in 2-3 years. That college football could just...
Yeah, Adam, I was going to say I'm going to go a little more in depth on the topic than Miles did there. I'm going to quote James Franco from the cinematic classic Pineapple Express. Pandora is out of the box, man. You can't put Pandora back in the box, you know. So, and scene.
And that's and scene. And all right, boys, good show. Yeah, it's gonna get out of hand. Is all I'm saying. Like, if we're not careful, and I'd rather someone pull the reins in while it's still like okay, than for it to go completely Bonnie and Clyde, like completely like off the grid where it's like, okay, now it's really bad and we gotta figure something out. I'd rather something get figured out before there's a debacle, and I just don't see that happening because of the boneheads that are making decisions. And it's in 2-3 years, it's gonna be something. I don't know what it is. I don't know, but something huge is gonna happen that the whole country is going to be like, oh God, how could you let this happen? Like, I don't know what it is, but some team is going to get screwed and a player is going to get screwed or something. And it's going to be, he said, well, they should have left and the portal and there's so much money. And I mean, it's almost happening with like the quarterback who's going back now. Who was that out
Washington.
west? Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, out at Washington where he gets screwed.
This is what I'm saying. It's almost like, okay, it's almost like the Titanic, right? There were signs like these screws were supposed to be L-shaped and they were, you know, circle-shaped and they didn't screw in properly, but they're like, it's a big ship. I'm sure it'll be fine.
How about not go so far north and not be fucking British? That's your real problem to start.
Well, yeah. But like little things are starting to show, and they're like, just put Elmer's glue on it or some duct tape, and like, oh, it'll be fine. It's college football. And I'm saying like something's gonna happen, and you won't be able to batten down the hatches, and something's gonna happen, and we're all gonna be upset. That's all I'm saying.
How many people are going to die now that we've equated the Titanic to college football?
Well, Rose will make it, as we know, and the band will go down first, the marching band, because
the tournament of roses.
Plays,
do the flowers compete in athletic events?
The band plays, so the band plays as the ship is sinking. So the marching band will be the first to die, I think.
The Rose, I think we won that one this year. I think we won.
There's that SNL skit. You know, have you ever seen it? The Titanic SNL skit. Oh, it's classic. It's like, wait a second, like, hold on, wait, why do we got to stick around? You know.
Yeah.
Well, Adam, I was going to say one thing. You know, it's very nice of you to have faith in millionaires and billionaires to make coherent decisions. But you're insinuating that these millionaires and billionaires actually have foresight to envision problems that happen until, long before they happen. The world we live in is we wait until the shit hits the fan, and then we try to find a solution. And that's why we live in the world that we live in, because nobody has foresight to see anything.
They're just trying to call it out. They
got more foreskin than foresight. So
what's that movie with Christian Bale? The Money Short or the Short? The Big Short.
Big Short.
The Big Short.
Big Short.
Yeah.
That's a great movie.
About
it's
Enron.
a great movie.
About Enron, right?
Well, and about the 2007 crash.
The 2008. That was about a decade after Enron. But here's what's even more scary is now we're talking about Congress getting involved. If you think the NCAA, people that are supposed to know ball, don't know what they're doing, it's even scarier and there's two senators, one from each side of the aisle, so I'm not being biased here, it's each side of the aisle, that are wanting to inject themselves. Two MFers, I guarantee you, don't know shit about ball. This is going to get worse. As soon as government does put their foot in this, you think it was bad now, it's going to get way worse for people that are like, well, we can just resolve this. You don't know anything about college football at all. This could get really ugly really fast if they decide to put their hand up by, because you know what, government, it's a money grab for them too. Come on. They have an opportunity to put in regulations and get kickbacks for if these institutions or even conferences want to play ball with them. Oh, it could get real ugly if that happens. No, just make the simple solutions. You listen to Sports Idiot Nation along with a couple other talking heads that are sensible and
it ain't hard.
Try to keep their biases tempered or even call out their own biases. You listen to about 3 or 4 of us, you can resolve it overnight.
Yeah. Over a pizza and beer. Bud Light.
Or
couple beers.
Topo Chico.
Couple 7.
No Bud Lights, though. No
10.
Bud Lights. Yeah. No Bud Lights. We can do better than that.
It's Miller time.
Yeah, correct.
We can do better than that one too, but we'll let it slide.
No, don't let facts.
Unless we're being endorsed by Miller or Bud Light, I'm all for it. Like Dave Chappelle says.
But we'll take your money.
I've been endorsed
these greedy bastards over here.
Yeah, like Dave Chappelle says, I've been endorsed by Coke and Pepsi. If you want to be honest with you, I can't tell the difference between either of them.
Or like Wayne's World, where he's like, I would never be influenced.
Yeah.
He's eating a bag of Doritos. It's like, this generation, Pepsi.
Pizza Hut.
Yeah, he's got a whole pizza. And then it's, I've got a headache. Little, yellow, different.
Yeah. I take 2 of these.
And look, he appears out of nowhere. Garth is like right there. You're like, whoa, where did you come from? And Rob Lowe is like not having it. So great. All right. So this was a nice little, only the way that we idiots can do, put a bow on college football. We're so sad that it left us, but we have IU's.
Miles is not sad that it left us. It left him on
No,
a high note.
I want college football back. I made one post today and I said, I miss college football. Let's bring it. I want to keep this thing going.
Well, I know how
it can be change your profile pic.
I know how I felt in 2010 when Auburn won, and like I said, I never thought I'd see them win a championship in my lifetime. I went on record many times saying that. I was like, I'm just going to be a fan of a team that'll always be good, but not good enough. And they did it.
I'm in that.
Hey, you know
UCLA.
what we got in common on this national title now? The last two coaches to win the national title in year 2, Gene Chizik and Kurt Signetti.
And to have their quarterback win the Heisman and to go undefeated. I think that's. I think they have that in common as well. So,
no, we don't, but that's okay. Because I know one quarterback that did it that beat Auburn a few years later.
yeah.
All right, Miles, leave us with the trivia of the day. Miles is going to tell us what programs have a basketball championship and
Consensus.
consensus for
That's the
football.
word.
Because
$10
there
word
was
right
there was time where Michigan and Nebraska both won, that doesn't count.
Yeah, split skis, 97.
Yeah, we're going full blownsies. So who has full blownsies of football championship and basketball? And this may shock you. So Miles, go ahead.
Yeah. The results you might find to be surprising. So that's kind of funny because I threw it out to a couple of groups I was talking with, and one guy actually put up a CBS graphic of all the teams, and there's like 20 teams. Kentucky, no, you haven't won a national title. Neither of you, Arkansas, in football. Consensus, that's important. Consensus national titles, and also another qualifier since the AP poll era started in 1936, mixed with the men's basketball tournament in 1935-9. So just 3-year difference, and none of the results change whether you pick 36 or 39. So consensus national title for football, which must include an AP title since 1936 and a men's college basketball title since the tournament started. So there are only 7 programs that have done it.
Because this is what
obviously
how we thought about this.
That's
because
triggers that. And
they were
undefeated
undefeated
just
in
curious.
75.
I did not know this answer. I had to do my homework on it because a couple were layups, no pun intended, and then others were like defoot.
Yeah.
The basketball side I thought was pretty easy. We know who won the basketball national titles, but consensus national titles for football when there wasn't ever a true playoff until the BCS era started, I wasn't sure going back in the day. So I used one number of Big Ten teams. So we all know Michigan's won football, couple of national titles, consensus, and basketball, they got one. Ohio State has done that as well. Back in the early 60s, they picked off, I believe, just 1 or 2 right around the time Cincinnati did as well. Then from there, you branch out. You're like, okay, what's another gimme? Florida, of course. More recently, both football and basketball. That was probably the most obvious one because of recency bias. So those 4, I think anyone that knows college sports at all could give you those 4 pretty quick. Then there were a couple I was like not 100% sure on. One I came up with, another Big Ten school, was Michigan State, but I was like, man, does Sparty have a consensus football national title? I knew they had a couple of splits, but then I went back and saw it in 1953, I believe, or 1952 rather. 1952. Sparty did get a consensus national title. So that brings us up to 5 schools there. So I was like, okay, 5's pretty good that I got, but there's 2 more. And those I struggled with more until I went back and saw 1959 and realized Ernie Davis, that dude at Syracuse. Yeah, those Syracuse teams back in those days, just a little bit, I believe a little bit.
You add mix it with a little Jim Boeheim,
I like to think myself. Yep, and Hakeem Warwick, along with, of course, Carmelo Anthony, in 2003, beat Kansas for that national title. So Syracuse 1-1 right there. So 6, and then I was like, man, there's a 7th. Going through a number of programs like UCLA, 54, you split that national title in football. I even thought Cal. Now, Cal you could add as an 8th, but their consensus national title for football was back in 1920, before this era. So if you want to include them, right, that's cute, whatever. But for that 7th team, I had to look up, and I was shocked by this one. The Maryland Terrapins. Obviously, unfortunately, I remember 2002 won their basketball national title. And then the 1953, the year after Michigan State won their national title, Maryland won a consensus football national title. Absolutely blew my mind. I had to go back and research the roster. How many names did I recognize?
Really?
Absolutely zero. There was not a
No.
single name on there
They
that I had
just-
ever heard of in my life. They found a way. And here's what's even more
No Jerry
upsetting about
Jones
this
or
one.
no one like that.
No Arkansas. No Arkansas. You did not win a consensus national title. So what I saw even more shocking than not them having a single player that I knew or even winning a consensus national title, that was in the age where bowl games were strictly considered like scrimmages, basically, exhibitions, so to speak. They lost their bowl game. They lost the Orange Bowl 7-0 to Oklahoma, but the bowl games did not count towards their overall record. So they were claimed consensus national titles prior to the Orange Bowl, and then they lost their ass to Oklahoma 7-0 in that Orange Bowl. So it's like, yeah, they count because they were truly a consensus national title, but in the modern era, no, they would not have been.
T.I., where else are you going to know this besides Sports City Nation?
I knew all those answers. I just didn't want to ruin the fun for Miles. So
yeah, he just wanted to
and our viewers. I didn't want to ruin the fun for them because everybody loves a good trivia night.
T.I. did know because he was a part of the chat earlier. So you did. You're not lying. You did know.
Yeah,
you had the list.
I was
he was
kind of
busy.
part of the chat.
He was busy. He didn't.
I kept hearing the phone dinging, and I looked over, and it said 50 messages. I was like,
I'm good. Yeah,
I was like, I'm either.
I was guessing. I guessed
like,
49 teams.
I was like, I'm happy.
UCLA, USC.
I'm happy for you, or I'm sad that happened, but I ain't reading all that.
So it's all right. T.I. didn't know what was going on the last 10 minutes. Those are meta glasses. He's watching a movie.
I'm watching Pineapple Express, actually. Pineapple Express.
It's fine. It's fine. Just in time, though, we can tell you to reminder. Just even if you're not an IU guy, Miles, the shirt again, if you could help us out. This is on our link here. This shirt, and of course, your team sucks. I mean, that is a good looking shirt. It's got the hair. The hair is down. The hair plays on that. So that is a fantastic shirt. Pick that up in the link. Hit up the website. Very awesome. Follow us wherever you get your social media. New episodes of Sports Idiot Nation come to you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, which means we will see you Friday. Thank you for watching this episode of Sports Idiot Nation. Remember, we are on all social media and on YouTube, and the podcast can be found on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Remember, new episodes are every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And remember, because you watch Sports Idiot Nation,
you would be the smartest idiot in the whole world.